We have air quality alerts from the Great Lakes and Ohio Valley to the East Coast. And that should last for, well, probably one more day until things start to get a little better on Friday. Excessive heat continues across the south and into parts of the southwest. That's actually going to be shifting eastward for the next couple of days with 100-degree plus highs in a number of places. And other than that, it's a rather ordinary late June evening on this Wednesday, the 28th of June. And this is the Joe and Joe Weather Show, brought to you by OmniTrue Value Hardware, 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, New York. Get your truck over and load up on mulch, topsoil, and sand, and anything else you need to make your home or your business look terrific. 631-756-1125. Nowhere can you find better prices. And the website is
OmniTrueValue.com.
Tempest by WeatherFlow. Get the revolutionary Tempest weather system and join the fastest growing observing weather network on the planet. It's easy to install. Even I could do it, and that's saying a lot because I'm not good with this sort of stuff. But they've got all sorts of other weather gadgets, gizmos, and the latest in smart weather wear. Use the referral link at the top of the chat board or on the description to this video. And if you use the coupon code Joe and Joe Weather Show, what do they get, Mr. Rayo?
You're going to get 10% off. So if I were you, and if I were yearning to get a Tempest weather station for my home, I would go right now and get that 10% off deal, again, by mentioning Joe and Joe Weather Show. And indeed, Joe, that's a heck of a good deal.
Oh, works for me. Welcome to everybody tonight on to the Joe and Joe Weather Show, and welcome to those of you who are not on the chat board but might be lurking about in the background. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, and you won't miss the Joe and Joe Weather Show, which is usually on Monday through Thursdays at 7:35 and Sundays at 11 a.m. Fridays and Saturdays we're off, but as we go into a holiday weekend, Joe and I need an extra day of battery recharging, so there will be no show tomorrow night. Okay? No show tomorrow night. So after tonight, we will be back at Sunday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. So finally, it looks like a break in the shower and thunderstorm activity in the Northeast. This should be the last of it for 2 days. Smoke is an issue, some places more than others, and they got all those air quality alerts up again. I saw some spots in the Midwest going back to yesterday had AQI numbers in the 200 range, which is not good. But we've been cut off from this northwest flow, Joe, and all it took for this upper trough to finally start to pull away and turn those winds to the northwest, and guess what comes back?
Indeed. Guess what has come back? I saw an interesting montage, if you will, of different cities. I believe it was Chicago, Milwaukee, Minnesota, Minneapolis. And you see on the screen various shades. You see the skylines of each city, various shades of orange or yellow or gray. And that was a result, again, of our friends to the north sending down that smoke, that wildfire smoke, still raging. And Joe, you get the impression from the way things look that this isn't going to go away. This may very well be, unfortunately, something that we're going to have to deal with right through most of the summer whenever the winds go into the north and northwest. And that's kind of sad because in the summertime, you wait for, around here especially, you wait for the winds to go to northwest to get the lower humidity and usually transparent, clear, beautiful blue skies. But if those fires continue to rage unabated up in Canada, Quebec, this is going to be something that we're going to have to be dealing with maybe right on through most, if not all, of the summer.
Well, there was rain up there recently, and rain also up in northern Alberta, where there's some fires going on there, and it seemed as if it helped, but I guess it wasn't enough. And the smoke issue around the Great Lakes has been going on pretty much all week, for most of this week. So um, I, I I was just thinking off the top of my head, people who clean windows for a living must be awfully busy. I mean, this stuff has got to leave a residue on surfaces, I would think.
Well, it's interesting that the places I mentioned out in the Midwest, they are suffering not because of the fires that are occurring in Quebec. They're suffering because of fires that are still raging in some of the western provinces like Alberta and Saskatchewan. So when their winds go north northwest, that's taking the smoke from up there and bringing it down into the Midwest. And we, on the other hand, are getting it from another province, Quebec. And I'm not going to say the whole country of Canada seems like it's on fire, but in a way, it does seem that way with all of the smoke invading places in the east and places in the west. And as I said, the worst wildfire season that they've ever seen up there, and the inability of the Canadian government to keep the fires under control seems to mean that this is going to be something that we're going to have to be dealing with from time to time and place to place right on through much of the summer.
All right, so since we've been talking about the smoke, you've got the smoke maps, so you might as well do the smoke maps.
I shall do that, um,
And I shall remove myself from the screen. There you
and
go.
and there we are. Um, this particular starting point is at 4 o'clock or from 4 o'clock this afternoon, and you can see here in the New York metropolitan area that according to this smoke map, the worst of it is up north over the Adirondack regions and over into the Connecticut River Valley. And here's Montreal, which
Hold
is
on, Joe, just a second. For some reason, unshare and share back again. I don't know
alrighty.
what this was. There you go. So you're back now. All right, so try again.
All right.
Okay. No, then it's gone. That's weird.
It says on my screen, participants can now see your application.
All right, well, I'm telling you, on my screen, there's nothing. And it's important that it's on my screen. All right,
Let's hope.
let me see if I could do it. This worked yesterday when I tried it, so let's see if it works again today. Yep, you're back.
So now what do you want me to do?
Go ahead, keep going.
Stop. Oh, the smoke is on there, or the
Yep,
smoke map is on there?
I got it back.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. That's good. Okay, so as I said, it seems like in northern New York State, portions of central and northern New England, on up toward Montreal, the biggest city in Canada, that's where the smoke was, at least as of 4 o'clock. Now let's move things along here. 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, coming up now on 8 o'clock. And it doesn't, I mean, there's smoke, but it does not appear to be terrible. This seems to indicate that in the immediate New York City area, that, well, let's see, 1, 2, 3, so that would be 20 to 60 parts per million with a blotch of heavier smoke over western or northwestern Massachusetts. So let's just move things along here. 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11, 12. Look at that. Look at that. This projection is right. Southern New England, Connecticut, Rhode Island, getting a dose, and central and eastern Long Island, getting a heavy dose of smoke. This would be for the wee hours of the morning, 5 a.m. on Thursday morning, 8 o'clock, 9 a.m., 10, 11, 12, 1, 2. So you could see that there's smoke is going to be around. Hopefully, it will be thinning out some as we move into the latter part of tomorrow into early Friday. And then all of a sudden, a new round of smoke occurs early in the day on Friday. So it's going to be here in one way, shape, or form, Joe, the smoke that is, right on through the end of the week. And will probably create a kind of haziness to the sky. And of course, as we saw a few weeks ago, maybe some pretty sunrises and sunsets by causing the skies to be exceptionally red or orange at the beginning and the end of the day.
Well, we got to turn these upper air winds back to the south or at least try to cut off the flow from Canada. I don't know how successful we're going to be to do that, but let's let's go to the map here and take a look at what the upper air looks like. And this is this was the upper flow from this afternoon. So you've got this sort of this troughing, a little bit of a northwest flow. The actual winds up at the mid layers of the atmosphere are not all that strong, particularly in Canada. So there's not a big push of wind to get the smoke to get out of the way. So it just basically fans out. Here's your upper high, your big ridge that is sitting over Louisiana this afternoon. And of course, this underneath, anybody that's underneath this is dealing with heat, particularly near the center of the high and on the west side of the high, where temperatures got over 100 and in some cases even over 110. Now that ridge winds up getting squashed. We've got another trough that's dropping into the east. You see there's a little upper low there in eastern Canada on Saturday. And also some energy that comes out of the southwest and moves into the Rockies, and then that gets pushed eastward. So we're still going to have this Canadian connection into early next week. We'll have to keep looking at these smoke forecast maps to see what that means from the standpoint of day-to-day conditions. Meanwhile, with troughs that keep moving through the east, nothing is exceptionally strong. They seem more like nuisances more than anything else. So I guess that means that after Friday, we're going to have to start throwing in chances for showers and thunderstorms, maybe for each day. I was hoping that Tuesday was going to not be part of this, but it looks like there's at least a little bit of a short wave that comes in on Tuesday. But look, the bottom line is, as far as the holiday weekend is concerned, are there going to be chances for showers and storms? Yes. Is everybody going to get them? Probably not. Are there going to be dry stretches in there? Sure. And might those dry stretches last for a long time? Where you could do things outdoors? Yeah, I think so. I'm kind of going to lean in that direction.
Yeah, it certainly does not look like, as the media likes to refer to it, a washout. But let's also point out that, first of all, the humidity, which has been a factor here for the last several days. And we've had here in Putnam Valley humidity, the dew points have been at or above 70. So even though we haven't had exceptionally hot temperatures, right around 80 or so, the humidity has really made it quite uncomfortable. Now, tomorrow, as we've been saying, humidity or dew point levels are going to drop probably to within a degree or two of 60. Now, normally, you would say that that is a muggy outlook, because when we reach into the 60s, it tends to be muggy. But again, we have been dealing with dew points at around 70, and we may see the dew points now drop 8 or 10 degrees between now and tomorrow. Actually, right now they're around 65, down to about 60 or even the upper 50s tomorrow. And that's going to be delicious. That's going to make it feel very comfortable, very nice. And tomorrow will be probably the nicest day we're going to see out of the next 7. No threat of any precipitation, lots of sunshine. The only problem will be the smoke, which will cause the skies to be either a steely blue or kind of a grayish blue up there. But still, it will be a nice day, and it will be a more comfortable day. Still holding on to that hope for Friday. But then, Joe, as we go into the weekend and the winds turn more out of a west or southwest or southerly direction, that may help to lessen the smoke, but also brings the humidity back into play. So much so that Saturday, Sunday, and early next week, Monday and the 4th of July, it will be humid enough so that each day we'll have to mention the possibility of a shower or storm. They could come at any time, any place. Best chance would be somewhere between 3 o'clock in the afternoon and 10 o'clock in the evening, diurnally the later in the day or early evening. Best chance for seeing any shower or convection popping up. And again, because of the increase in the humidity, any one singular shower or storm could bring down a hefty amount of rain, albeit for a short interval of time. Again, only 5, 10, 15 minutes. So you may end up with a drenching, but again, as Joe just mentioned, more often than not, it should be dry. So if you're planning to do anything out of doors beginning Saturday and running into early next week, you should be able to get away with it, but just watch the skies, because in this type of atmosphere, the showers could pop up literally anywhere, anytime, any place.
Well, you mentioned the dew points, and I was looking at looking at the 21 Z surface map, which is 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Uh, if you go today, well, the weather front has now pushed offshore, and you can see where it's analyzed today at 5 p.m. through central New England, eastern Connecticut, and then out into the open waters of the Atlantic. The dew points back across Pennsylvania, temperatures were in the middle 70s. Dew points were in the mid 50s in a lot of places, and even some low 50s dew points up in northern Michigan. It's not a strong high at all. It's on the weak side, but you know what? It's just enough of a dry push, and it's always relative. I mean, if you come out of a soup bowl, even if it's not perfectly dry, you get those dew points down close to 60 from when you've been in the tropical dew points. It does feel a lot better,
Yes,
particularly if you could have sunshine. So I think it'll work out fine.
I
And
mentioned to you off air. Um, I've been running my air conditioning for the last 3 or 4 days. Again, not so much because it's hot, but because of the extreme dew points. So you've been, you step outside and you feel like you're walking into a damp sponge.
right,
At least tomorrow, with that big drop in the dew points down to around 60. Again, as you just mentioned, Joe, 60 is, or even upper 50s maybe. That's not anything really to write home about. You'd like to see it, well down in the 50s, but we'll take it. Beggars can't be choosers, and it's going to be, again, relative to what we've been dealing with, the soupy weather, as you just referred to, that's going to be a big improvement. It'll be very nice. I'm actually going to open the windows tomorrow for the first time in about 4 days.
I got my AC fixed, by the way, folks. You watched the show yesterday. My AC went down yesterday evening. It was a simple fix. It didn't cost me a lot of money, so that's a good thing. Michael McGuire hitting super chat tonight. Thank you, Michael. I had a senior moment. I'm reading his. He says, lots of plans ahead for the 4th of July. Any possible MCS activity making it into the North Carolina Piedmont? And my mind just went absolutely blank. I knew it had to do with the derecho, and I was just like, another acronym that I can't, I'm not remembering. So, yeah, mesoscale convective system. All right, it's a little ways away to talk about something like that. There's probably going to be some thunderstorm risk next week um, in the Carolinas. I don't know if there's going to be an MCS or a derecho, but, we'll see. I mean, it's summertime. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen now.
Was there a special memo from NOAA or the National Weather Service indicating that they were changing the last letter from a C to an S? I mean, growing up and in my early days, in your early days, Joe, we referred to it as an MCC,
Right,
a
mesoscale convective complex.
So now it's no longer a complex anymore. Now it's a system. So I don't know. This generation. Oh my God, I'm beginning to sound like my grandfather. It seems like this particular time that we're living in, they seem, there's a mandate. Let's change everything.
Right.
Let's change all of the designations and everything else. Everything that has a new name, new form, new term, or whatever. And
well, you did it twice. You started this part of the conversation when you basically said, well, in my day, okay.
yes.
So you started sounding like your grandfather right there and then.
Right.
But I get it. Yeah, who knows? They change things all the time, and you get old and cranky. You don't want you don't take to change very easily. I mean, look at Joe and the rotary telephone. I mean, right, Joe? Here's the satellite loop. By the way, if you look closely on the satellite loop, you can see the milky white is back over the Great Lakes, the Ohio Valley, even down into the Tennessee Valley, even up to about me. I didn't notice it today. It was actually beautiful up here in the mountains, blue sky and sunshine. But that milkiness is underneath the moving cloud cover that you see coming over the top. And we're getting some lightning strikes this evening in New England. They are now diminishing as the sun has, starting to see that sunset moving across on the satellite there, even though it hasn't quite set at the surface yet, but it's coming. Meanwhile, out in the west, we've got some storms scattered around in the northern Rockies and in the northern plains. The south, with that big upper ridge sitting across the, over the south, it's all sinking air. So anything that comes over the top of that ridge, like the clouds you see in Indiana and Kentucky and Tennessee, they just thin out as they move southeastward. So nothing can hold together as far as storms are concerned. And we've got some scattered cells with lightning strikes going on in Florida. Here's the radar. Give it a quick refresh, and we'll take a look at what's going on in New England. We've got some thunderstorms just about approaching Boston there and into northwest Rhode Island. A little snaky line that is cutting through. No warnings are up though. And then we've got other showers and downpours across Vermont, New Hampshire, and moving up into the great state of Maine. You can see the cells in Florida. They look like they're past their peak and starting to die off. Nothing, as we said, across the south. In the northern lakes, we've got some showers and downpours there. And we've got some showers and thunderstorms and a few severe thunderstorm warnings popping up in parts of western Nebraska and South Dakota, which leads us to the Storm Prediction Center. That's where we have a severe thunderstorm watch up at the moment. Two small areas of slight risk, southeast Wyoming, western Nebraska, southwest South Dakota, another small area of slight risk in northwest Wisconsin, general thunderstorms in the northeast, but an absolute lack of thunderstorm activity to the west and south of that, all the way down through North Florida. It's a little unusual to see, an area like this where there's nothing going on convectively. Also over Texas, nothing going on convectively there either. Tomorrow, we're looking at a slight risk from eastern Colorado across Nebraska and northern Kansas, and then amplifying a bit, covering just about all of the state of Illinois and most of Indiana and a good portion of the state of Kentucky. That comes with a 5% tornado risk there in southern Illinois, southern Indiana, and a small portion of north central Kentucky. Next day, day 3, which takes us Friday into Saturday, we've got a marginal to slight risk in the southern and central Appalachians, west to the Ohio Valley, and then another area in southern Nebraska, northern Kansas, northeastern Colorado, northwest Missouri, and a small portion of southwestern Iowa. I think, Joe, a lot of people should be happy that the rain is going to shut off in the northeast for a couple of days, but we do have anywhere from 3/4 of an inch to 1.5 inches covering, or even more, in the Ohio Valley. But this is over the next 7 days, and this takes us through next Wednesday night. So I think a lot of this is going to come late Friday, and for eastern Pennsylvania to southern New England, it'll probably be okay through Friday, and then it's more like Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, and maybe a little bit on Tuesday. But dry in the west.
Yeah, tomorrow will be when the new drought map is posted, and I would suspect that, unlike last week where there was a lot of yellow indicating exceptionally dry here in the immediate New York tri-state area, I do believe that, especially in New Jersey, where they've had anywhere from 3 to 6 inches of rain drop on them in the last 7 days, I would tend to think that's going to diminish the drought situation considerably when the new map is published and goes online tomorrow.
The GFS, we looked at the upper air earlier, the GFS on the surface, and the European wasn't that different really. I'm going to go back to I like the 12Z run a little bit better today. So I'm going to use that one. But here are our storms move out tonight in New England. The high builds in. Not much going on tomorrow. This is at 2 o'clock in the afternoon tomorrow. There's not much going on in terms of showers and storms. They do fire up after that in the western plains and also in and around the Great Lakes, but the northeast, mid-Atlantic, and southeast look fine and dandy. Then as we move into Friday, again, in the afternoon, a couple of showers here and there, but by evening, there's the GFS is picking up on something that looks important in western Pennsylvania down into West Virginia. I'm not sure exactly. That comes from, following it along. It looks like there's a complex of storms moving through Nebraska early Friday morning, and then into Iowa, and they kind of weaken a bit into Friday afternoon across northern Indiana, northwest Ohio, northeastern Illinois, and then suddenly they fire up in a big way as they head into western Pennsylvania. That's kind of interesting, but not much really for the coastal Northeast and down into the coastal Mid-Atlantic states until overnight Friday night into Saturday morning. Some scattered showers and storms there. You see them also on Saturday from Illinois down into Mississippi, into Alabama, with a little energy that's coming eastward. That probably triggers off some showers and thunderstorms in the afternoon in the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic states on Sunday, and then that goes out, and then there's another disturbance that comes along Monday afternoon and evening with some showers and storms, and that goes out, and it looks like we still have some weak troughing hanging around on Tuesday. Some afternoon showers and storms forming in inland areas, but not on the coast. I'm going to just stay with what I've been thinking, which is the idea that most of the time it should be fine. Just bear in mind that there's a risk that there could be some showers and storms around. And for Michael McGuire, I mean, I'm not seeing any kind of derecho going into North Carolina here. So, or mesoscale convective, what is it? What did we change it to?
System. Well, system.
MCS. Okay.
It's be complex, but now it's a system. Whatever. Okay,
exactly. Yeah, so that's pretty much to me. It's a pretty straightforward. It looks like a pretty straightforward early July type pattern.
And what else do you expect? It is July. Well, not yet. It will be July in a few days. Boy, this year's really going by fast. And that's what you think about July 4th. What do you think? It's heat, humidity, maybe a thunderstorm popping up. It's exactly what pretty much we're going to be looking at for next week.
The Hurricane Center is talking about something in the southwest Atlantic, a surface trough or disorganized showers and thunderstorms a few hundred miles southeast of Bermuda. Upper level winds are marginally conducive for some slow development as it moves northward at 5 to 10 miles an hour. It's a fish storm, so we really don't care much about that. And if we want to go to the Eastern Pacific, because we do have a hurricane. By the way, Anthony Orr, our resident hurricane specialist, okay, I think that works, pointed out that the formation of Tropical Storm Adrian yesterday was the third, I think he said it was the third latest that we've seen, the A storm in the Eastern Pacific.
Wow.
So this has come along late.
Hey, yes. Adrian. Come over here, Adrian.
986 millibars, 15.3 and 108.4, which is off the west coast of Mexico, way out off the coast of Mexico. And it's forecast to disappear by Monday as it goes over the open waters of the open cold waters of the Eastern Pacific. And once it gets north of 15 degrees north, the water temperatures start dropping off, especially this time of year. So that will go away.
El Nino, it's not good for tropical activity here in the Atlantic or Caribbean basin, but is favorable for more tropical activity in the Pacific. And yet, you just mentioned, Joe, Pacific is getting off to a late start.
Yeah, there's another system right behind it. You can see it here on the still shot. You see Adrian out to the east, to the west, and then to the east of that, there is a broad area of low pressure, tropical depression likely to form in the next day or two. They've got it 80% in the next 48 hours and 90% over the next 7 days. So the Atlantic, on the other hand, the Atlantic side looks quiet. So I don't foresee any issues regarding the Atlantic basin. Okay, so you're blank again. Let me see if I can try to fix this on my side once more. That. I'll just put this. So let's see if I can bring you back. Otherwise, I may have to ask you to share again.
Share and share alike. Meanwhile, Chuck Cardillo, Joe says, and I'm sure you remember this too, and this tells us that we're going way, way back in time. He said, Joe Ray will remember the temperature humidity index, the THI.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that
And
was
nobody,
kind of weird.
and absolutely nobody understood the THI. I mean, you'd hear it on the weather forecasts, let's say in the 60s, the THI is 74. And my grandmother would say, "So what does that mean?" Nobody understood what the THI was.
You know why it was confused? By the way, try to go ahead and share and then unshare again. Let's see if that brings you back.
You're right.
I don't know. This is a Zoom issue. It just started recently.
Right.
So
I'm going to
all
unshare it.
right. So I see you, and yeah, it's there. You go. Okay, you're back. I don't know. You pop in, you pop out, and you popped in again. I think the problem with it is that it didn't make any sense because so the THI would come up with a number that was lower than the actual temperature. So it was something to the effect of if it was at between 70 and I forgot what the parameters were,
If I remember
but
correctly, anything above 80 was most people are uncomfortable and many
right,
are
right. But
miserable.
but there was a thing where it said like when the THI was above 70 to something, 70 say to 73, 10% of the people were uncomfortable, and
Right.
then from 73 to 77, 50% of the people were uncomfortable. The problem with it to me was the fact that it was a number that was lower than what the temperature was. So if you told them that the temperature was 96 and the THI was 84, they would say, you know, those sort of work against each other in your mind. It's a lower number, so why does it mean it's bad? As opposed to the heat index, which is the apocalypse number as far as I'm concerned. You know, it's 90 degrees, but it feels like it's 167. You know,
Well, I used to on News 12, I had the Frizz index, and actually initially I called it the discomfort index. But when I was on WPLJ here in New York, Jim Kerr said, if the discomfort index is very high, that's bad for your hair, right? That means and women especially get a lot of frizzies. I said, yeah. I said, so why don't you just call it the Frizz index? And I ran with that, and I did for many years. I calculated kind of like a discomfort index on a 0 to 10 scale. Like for what we've been dealing with this week here in the New York area, I'd say the frizz factor would be something on the order of 7.5 and 8. And, forget about it. When it's like 95 and a dew point of 70 or 75 or something like that, that's 10. And
yeah.
then it's horrendous.
All right, so you got Thriller Jeopardy tonight, right?
Yes, I do.
All right, so while you're setting that up, we've got 46 likes. We managed to get up to I think it was 75 yesterday or something close to that. So if you could take us over, look, I'll set the bar low. Take us over 60. If you like the show, hit the like button. If you don't like the show, then I wouldn't want you to hit the like button if you don't like the show. So,
Yes.
but we appreciate it. Thank you. And I'm trying to think if there was anything else. So I told you the air conditioning is working. I was out working in the yard today. I'm going around town trying to find stones wherever I can. Still finding nothing but firewood. I'm looking for stones, so of course there's firewood everywhere. If I was looking for firewood, there'd be stones everywhere.
Ah.
So anyway, uh,
And by the way, if those of you in the New York area, you're not doing anything around 10 o'clock tonight, I know you might be watching one of those FBI or NCIS shows. Or actually, I think tonight, at least CBS is going to be running The Price is Right tonight. And ABC is going to be running the $100,000 Pyramid. Because all of a sudden, it's like they're in game show mode on.
because there's nothing else that they can put on because nobody
Right.
watches legacy television anymore.
Well, if you're in New York tonight and you don't have anything to watch aside from those game shows, watch the Channel 5 10 o'clock news because you'll see a familiar face pop up. uh, one of the reporters there is a friend of mine who worked with me at News 12, Richard Giacovis. And just before we came in tonight with Joe and Joe, Richard called me up and said, "Hey, can we ask you a few questions about smoke?" And we did a Zoom for about 5 minutes. He was interviewing me on Zoom, and he says, "Oh, we're going to put you on tonight on Channel 5." So if you're watching Channel 5 tonight at 10, I don't know if it's what time between 10 and 11 o'clock. If you see my ugly mug pop up, then you'll know why.
Yep. I won't be
Hey,
able to watch you, Joe.
oh, too bad.
I will be.
Uh,
I'll probably be watching another Perry Mason episode.
all right. Hey, I'm upset. Last week I missed the one and only color Perry Mason from
Oh,
the
you could
ninth
watch it.
season.
You could watch it at. Do you have Amazon Prime?
Yes, I do.
You could watch it on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, but I get a more of a great feeling watching it as
On legacy television. Yes, I get it. Yes.
yeah.
Go
So
on.
tonight we have countries that begin with the following letters, starting with the letter F. There are three countries that start with the letter F.
All right. So, France,
Yes.
right? Um, if the Fiji Islands, are they considered their own country?
Yes. Yes.
So
And in fact, Scott, if you're watching, you spelled Fiji wrong. If I he spelled it Figi, Figi.
and Northern
Fiji,
Grace
what,
has the other one, Finland.
Finland, that's right.
All right.
There are only three:
Only three.
France, Finland, and Fiji. And now we
Do you
move
know
to
that? Do you know, by the
yeah.
way, that Apple Computer is a $3 trillion company? Okay. I don't know if it closed. I don't know if it closed today at a price that would make it a $3 trillion company, but it's been hovering around that level for the last couple of weeks. Do you know that that's more? Apple Computer is market capitalization is $3 trillion, which is more than the the gross domestic product of France. So it's bigger than the French economy. Apple
You think-
Computer, one
Can you believe
one U.S. company, bigger than France. Anyway, and France is it's a first world nation, so that's impressive. Anyway, just a little fun fact here.
Yes. I remember when this goes way, way back when De Gaulle was threatening the United States.
When he came to dinner.
Yes. No, but dude, and this is before we have now in the European Union, where he was claiming that the franc was going to be more potent than the American dollar, and that they wanted to go to a completely different line of currency all across Europe. But anyway, I'm dating myself again. How about H, Joe?
H.
We have 1, 2, 3. We have 4 countries, although one of them I never heard of before, but 4 countries that start with the letter H.
H. Oh God. Christopher Alley's Hungary.
Okay.
So is Space 11. It's Hungary, Gary. So that's one. Maggie P. And Leon Probitsky, Holland. And Louis Alessi, Joe, got the next one, which is Honduras.
Right.
Okay. And Keith James II got Haiti.
Right.
So that's 4.
We got Haiti, Honduras, Hungary. But wait a minute now, Joe. Holland.
That's known as the Netherlands.
Right.
All right. So maybe technically that doesn't count.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
That's what I just said.
All right. So then we've got 4 so far, right?
3. Haiti, Honduras, and Hungary.
Haiti, Honduras, and Hungary. Okay. So how many left?
There's just one left, and I've never heard of this name before.
May I ask what continent it's on?
Well, and I don't even know if it's a country. I'll tell you I'll tell you what the chairman says. It's the diplomatic representative of the Roman Catholic Church, but I don't think it's a country.
What do you? Well, what? All right. Well, I give up. What is it?
He has here Holy See.
Maybe that's what it's known as. Maybe that's what the Vatican is known as.
You may be right.
Unless it's a body of water we don't know about. The Holy See. Did you ever Did you ever swim in the Holy See?
See is spelled S-E-E, not S-E-A.
I know.
I don't know what it is.
All right. Well, let's move on.
All right. Finally, There are 3 letters left, and for each letter,
No Googling, Christinapedia. Go ahead.
for these 3 letters, there's only one country representative for each letter, and the letters are O, Q, and Y. One
O,
country.
Q, and Y. So there's only one country that starts with the letter O, one country that starts with the letter Q, right? And one country that starts with the letter Y. Now,
And already on the chat board, we have all 3, right there. We have Christopedia, who is correct with Qatar and Oman.
well, I think they pronounce Qatar.
Qatar?
Qatar.
Right. That's also
Oman, Yemen, and Qatar.
It's also a good insect repellent. And Parker Plaza, yes, Yemen.
Yemen.
So Qatar, Oman, and Yemen.
Right.
And
well, that's interesting. My mind went blank after France. And Fiji Islands. I got the Fiji Islands.
Right. Spelled with a J, not with a G.
Correct, with a J.
Right.
Oh, good Lord. All right, you know what? It's time. We got 71 likes, which is not too shabby.
Considering there's not much going on.
Yeah. So I have no plans for the 4th of July that I know of. So we're going to be here for the 4th of July unless you're going to tell me otherwise, right?
I'm going to be here. My son and my brother and my younger brother-in-law bring an entire. Should I say this? No, I'm not going to say it because it's still against the law to have.
Well, in the People's Republic of the State of New York, it's against the law.
Pyrotechnics.
Yes.
They go to the local lake and they go crazy. So.
Yeah, the town is doing something here. I have to find out. Where and when it is. I think they do it on Lake Nautilus at night, but I'll have to. Otherwise, I got no plans. So again, remind everybody, there's no show tomorrow night, so we're going to be off Thursday. So we'll be back Sunday with our usual Sunday morning show at 11 a.m. and we'll be around Monday and Tuesday of next week. So on that note,
yes.
Let us just quickly bring up our sponsors, which are Tempest by Weatherflow. Get the revolutionary Tempest weather system. Join the fastest growing observing network on the planet. The link is pinned to the top of the chat board. It's also on the descriptor to this video. And if you use the coupon code Joe and Joe Weather Show, you get
10% off.
And Omni True Value Hardware at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, New York. 631-756-1125 for the best prices in town. The website is
omnitruevalue.com. And again, thank you very much tonight to Michael McGuire. Did we get any other?
No, he's the only one.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Michael.
All right, folks. Enjoy the next couple of days. We'll see you Sunday. Bye-bye.
Bye.